lastly, this is a picture of Sopron, which is where my family is from. This is called the Tűztorony, or the fire tower, and this is like during Christmas market. So I'm going to go through the myth or facts first, actually, with you guys, because I'm kind of curious what you think. So the first myth or fact is raise your hand. Okay, we got a couple people. And the second one is Hungary was a member of the Soviet Union. This is later in history, I guess, kind of in the okay, got a little more. Awesome. Well, I will actually, let's see, tell you about that now, but keep your ears open, I guess, to hear that. The first one I will say is a fact, and the second one is actually a myth. Although Hungary was a part of the Eastern Bloc during the Cold War, it was not actually an annexed territory or member of the Soviet Union per se, though it was a member of the Warsaw Pact. So that's kind of a, I don't know, important distinction. But okay, I'm just going to give you guys a quick run through of Hungarian history, and just want to like make sure that this is really representative, I guess, of all the countries in Eastern Europe, because a lot of the time, like, people don't know about them, or not only don't know about them, but just associate their history with like present times, with with the Cold War. So basically, here's, sorry, what's going on? Oh, okay. So basically, here's just a quick overview. So Hungary was created from a group of people who came from the Ural Mountains, which is in and then in the year 1000, the Catholic King Stephen I actually founded the Hungarian state, and this group of people was the Magyar people, which is why it's called Magyar Ország, because in Hungarian, Ország means English, but it's called Hungary, which I'm not really sure why. But about 200 years later, so about in 1200, the Mongols invaded, and the Mongols came from like where northern Asia is now, like Mongolia, and about 50% of the Hungarian population was killed or displaced. So it was a really violent start to the young country's history. However, cultural life started to develop in the mid to late 1400s, but unfortunately that came to an end again with the Ottoman invasion. So a couple of people, when they were talking about, like when you guys were writing down what you thought of when you heard these countries, said that you thought of Turkey with Hungary, and a couple of people mentioned the Habsburg Empire. And so the Ottoman Empire actually came and started a 150-year occupation of Hungary before the Habsburgs, I guess, had control over the country. But this happened in the 1500s. So the Hungarians have a lot of, I guess, cultural artifacts of that time in their history. So there's a lot of like Turkish baths there. There's some things like that. So next, what happened was, after the Ottomans were kind of fought off by the Habsburgs, Austria-Hungary was formed. And so this occurred but they were defeated by the Habsburgs. And so in the late 1860s, a dual monarchy between Austria and Hungary was established to bring peace and as kind of like a compromise. But in the 1800s, a lot of reforms came about that kind of made Hungary look like it does today. So Hungarian became the official language. And I just thought this might be interesting for you guys, because like I really think learning languages is interesting. So the way you would say hello in Hungarian is szia. So it's basically like if you say see you, but like see ya, so szia. Yeah, and so an important note, I guess, with this whole situation with the Austro-Hungarian Empire and the Habsburgs is that, well, actually, quick question. Has anyone ever heard of Franz Ferdinand or World War I, like what started World War I? You guys have? Okay, awesome. Does anyone want to tell me who that is? Okay. I think you're on mute, so if you guys could, okay, cool.
Was assassinated, and that caused lots of anger in like Serbia, I'm pretty sure, and it pretty much sparked World War One.
Yeah, that's great. Good job. Yeah, you're right. He was the Archduke to the. So.
Oh no, I was just gonna read it.
Oh, okay, cool. And basically, he was visiting Sarajevo in Bosnia, which is in the Balkans beside Serbia today. And basically, there was a good answer. It's very true. Okay, so since I guess we're kind of okay, I'm going to go through this, but okay, yeah. So you're right. The Holocaust was the systematic genocide of primarily Jews, about 6 million Jews, but about 11 million people were involved in the Holocaust, including communists and people who were considered to be degenerates. So homosexuals or disabled people were also included. But yeah, so through the Tripartite Pact of 1940, Hungary was allied with the Axis powers of Nazi Germany, Fascist Italy, and Japan. However, they actually wanted to join the Allies as the war went on, and that's when the Nazis invaded, and that's when really the systematic deportation and killing of Jews in Hungary began in 1944, which was about a year before the actual war ended. So although this was later, unfortunately, the Germans were really efficient, and about 2/3 of the Jewish population was killed. And so this is where the, I guess, current history of Hungary comes into play. Most people know about it, and that's the Cold War. And does anybody know why it was called a Cold War? Does anyone want to answer that real quick? If not, that's okay. Oh, okay, we have a taker.
It's called the Cold War because the Western forces, like the U.S., Britain, and France, never faced off against the communists directly, but there were some like indirect contacts, such as the Korean War, the Vietnamese War, and the first Afghanistan. Sure.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, basically exactly right. Traditional like hot war methods of legitimate fighting or explosives and things of that sort weren't really used, but it was just this like continuously escalating tension between the West and the East. And so Hungary was a part of the Eastern Bloc on the other side of the Iron Curtain. And this is just a picture of 8th grade me with the Iron Curtain near my family's hometown. So I thought you guys might find that interesting. But not everyone was, welcoming of the communists. The communist Russians were liberating Eastern Europe as like after World War II, but they just never left. And there's a lot of reasons for this, but I can't really go into that right now. But basically the strongest example of Hungarian resistance to the Cold War and to communism was the 1956 revolution, which began on October 23rd, 1956. So it was about 60 years ago, almost. And it was led by a reformist communist, Imre Nagy, who wanted a multi-party system, so more than just communist aggression. And wanted to leave the Warsaw Pact basically and, become more liberalized. But he unfortunately was killed, and the protest was brutally crushed, and about thousands of people were killed. So really violent, unfortunately. So recent era was that the Hungarians began to cut through the Iron Curtain actually before the Berlin Wall fell in November 1989. And it soon became an independent democracy and joined the EU in 2004. So it's become more integrated into continental European life and politics ever since that point. So, okay, this is just going to be our end. And Anna's going to lead you through this.
All right, so we have some true or false questions for you, okay? So raise your hand if you think it's true, okay? All right, so Hungary was occupied by the Ottoman Empire before being part of the Habsburg Empire. True? Sorry, Habsburg Empire. Okay, so, all right, so we're getting false on that one. So what's the answer, Sylvia?
It's actually true. The Habsburg Empire is the same thing as the Austria-Hungarian Empire. So the Ottomans invaded before the Habsburgs took control.
Okay, cool. So we already went over, so I think we kind of went over these for Ghana already. So maybe I'll just skip those because we already established that we have more than one language in Ghana, and there is schooling. So
we can skip over France Ferdinand.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and skip to the last one because I know you all have to leave the class. You guys have to leave soon. So Hungary was established by the Mongols.
Raise your hand if you think that's true. Okay, good. That's false. So you guys did a good job. Good listening.
Awesome. So the last thing we want to kind of leave you with is that like this, that you know this now, is that the single story is not often the complete truth about anyone, you know. So we need to like try to understand all the different things somebody can experience in their life, and we don't want to accept the stereotypes that people give us, right? We want to question more and keep an open mind. So always ask people, you know, what their story is, but also ask yourself what people make your single story is, and you know what they think of when they maybe think of like the southern US or like southeast, and like